Hi everyone and welcome to Astrology Sphere. In this video I'm going to be talking about the ingress of Venus into Taurus. Now this happens on the 5th of March and will last until the 3rd of April. Now this is really good news, not just for relationships but also for creativity and for money matters. Of course a lot of it will depend on where Venus is located in your natal chart and of course what house cusps she rules. So this is obviously a general forecast, but nonetheless I think that you will find it useful when it comes to forward planning for the month of March. So Venus in Taurus is quite different type of energy to Venus in Aries. Venus, as I said in my video last month, Venus isn't particularly happy in the sign of Aries, and that's because Aries is ruled by Mars, which in cosmological terms is the opposite or the counterpart of Venus. So really she is in detriment in this particular sign and she's not terribly happy because it's kind of the masculine expression of a feminine planet, if you want to sort of boil it down to kind of basics. Now she's moving into one of the signs that she rules, so she'll be in her domicile. And Venus is really happy here when it comes to anything earthly, sensual, or that's tangible. So this is a time when we will probably feel that we want to spend a lot of time in nature, that we'll get pleasure from things that stimulate the five senses. It's a time where luxury is highlighted, abundance, and also stability in relationships, which I think will probably come as a relief after Mercury retrograde and all the hijinks that we had in January. So how can we sort of best express Venus in Taurus? Well, there's two tarot cards that are associated with this particular combination. The first is the Queen of Pentacles. I don't know if you can see that, but basically this is the Queen of Pentacles. So this is the court card associated with Venus in Taurus, and you can see that there's a lot of red roses in this particular card. We've got a bunny rabbit kind of in the corner of the card, and she's sitting on quite a solid throne, and I think that says a lot for Venus in Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign, so it likes stability, it likes security, it likes things to be solid. So we're talking about solid romantic offers, we're talking about tangible manifestations or kind of creations, and we're also talking about stable energy, which, as I said, I think is going to be a relief for a lot of people when it comes to relationships, but especially after the volatility of the Venus squares to Saturn and Pluto, which happened at the end of February. So another expression of Venus in Taurus is the Empress card. Now this is the major arcana card for Venus. It's also associated with the Moon in Taurus, and you can see the symbol for Venus on that heart-shaped I don't know what it is, ornament next to her throne. She's also looking very comfortable on her plush throne. She's got a on her head, and she's got an orb. So she's the Empress of the material world, and we can see there's a lot of fertility and abundance in this card. We've got the corn that's ripening kind of down below. We've got the verdant lush scenery of nature in the background, and we've also got a stream flowing kind of in this corner here. So you can see that this is really Venus at her most tangible, at her most sensual. This is about Venus, the pleasure-loving planet, and it's also about tradition. So this is about Venus wanting to be courted, to be wooed, and it's really about the expression of Venus in earthly terms, so in the material world. So this is where Venus is strong, and I think that we're going to what it's going to do is it's going to bring into sort of tangible form some of the work that we've been doing over the last 3 months or so, particularly when it comes to the intentions and changes that we decided we wanted to make back in December when we had the solar eclipse. So you know, in March will be sort of the halfway point through this particular eclipse cycle, and I think we will finally start to see signs of progress and manifestation happening when it comes to, you know, relationship, creativity and money. Now, key dates to put in your diary when it comes to Venus include the 8th of March, which is when she will make a conjunction to Uranus and Taurus. And I think this is going to be great for online dating, for meeting new people, and particularly, you know, trying new things. So perhaps experimenting, if you're single, with somebody who's not your usual type, maybe going on an unusual date, using technology to meet people, so maybe through social media or, as I said, online dating. It's about doing things differently, but not necessarily too differently, because Taurus is not a sign that likes to experiment. It's quite, it likes, you know, likes to stick with what it knows. So you've got to sort of tread a fine balance there. But nonetheless, new things coming in, surprises, unexpected developments, you know, in love, creativity and money. And then towards the end of the month, we've got a sextile to Neptune on the 23rd of March. This is fantastic for anything lyrical, because Neptune rules not just music, but she rules film and she rules photography. So, and kind of romance, poetry, that type of thing. So great for going on a first date. Also excellent for music concerts or kind of you know, launches to do with photography or beauty, anything of those things, because Neptune adds a kind of a romantic glamour to things. It's kind of an allure when Neptune kind of comes into this particular setup. But I do think that for new relationships, it's a really romantic combination. So fantastic from that point of view. Things should flow. This is about grace, beauty, flow in its kind of highest and most idealistic expression. And then on the 28th and the 29th, we've got some trines between and Gemini, Jupiter and Pluto, both in the Earth sign Capricorn. And this is when I think we're really going to see manifestations happening from the December 26th solar eclipse. So this is expansive energy. It's about change, but big change, dramatic change, but in a tangible way, in a way that's sustainable for the future. So, you know, it could be about your beliefs, you know, so seeing how maybe making the changes that you made towards the end of February with the squares between Venus to Saturn and Pluto now kind of bearing fruit. It's also fantastic for any kind of abundance manifestations, for travel, for teaching, for anything to do with kind of internal changes, because Pluto is very much about deep psychological shifts. But on the whole, I think it's going to be a really positive 2 days where we're going to feel a lot of great shifts when it comes to abundance, relationships, creativity and money. So that's definitely something to mark in your diary. It is worth saying that Venus is going to retrograde, but that will be in May. So she's going to retrograde between the 13th of May and the 25th of June, but she will do that in the sign of Gemini. So I'll talk about that in more detail in my next forecast for May. But in the just something to bear in mind, because it can either bring, you know, excess back into our life, make us reassess the way that we've you know, we've conducted relationships. It can make us assess our values. So a lot of things could kind of come up then from developments that happen in March, for example. So just something to, you know, to bear in mind. But as I say, I will get into that in more detail in my next forecast. In the meantime, though, great news, I think, in general. It's worth saying that Venus won't make a single negative transit to any of the outer planets during March. So I really think that March is going to be quite an upbeat month, and I think that's going to come as a relief after the fairly slow moving and kind of emotional energy of Pisces season. so there you have it. Right, that's kind of it from me for now. I'll catch you for my full moon forecast, and in the meantime, sending you lots of abundance, happiness and success.